Hey, what's going on, Myles?
Yo, Brian. It was a bit crazy getting used to this this earlier time over here because, like, Sunday your clocks change, but right now it's 10 o'clock at night. Normally it's 11, and I thought, yeah, that's a good opportunity to feel a bit more awake for the show. And nah, I'm old, and I still feel tired.
And you almost didn't show up because you're busy playing Ghostbusters, forgetting about the time change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Ghostbusters.
That's right. I mean, it's not. I would say if you were going to miss a show, this would be the one to miss.
Really?
I do think so. I mean, we're starting off with a lie in the thumbnail, so.
Okay.
Just a heads up for anybody sitting there waiting for the show to begin, or anybody who tuned in specifically for the Tin Hearts demo preview. We have the demo. However, due to some back end problem, it is not working properly. We're not able to even start it. So Sony's got to fix something on their end, and we're not able to demo. We weren't able to demo it before the show. We were trying up until the absolute last minute, hoping that we would, be able to share some information. It's not happening. Hopefully later in the weekend we'll have access to it. Our apologies. Myles, you ready to do this thing?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Two Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live for your viewing pleasure right here on Without Parole, 6 p.m. Eastern, some crazy British time. No one ever knows. It keeps changing. My name's Brian Powell.
Just this week. 10 p.m. just this week.
No one knows, Myles. No way to find out. My name's Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole. And the gentleman over here to my left, you are right. It's Myles Dyer from youtube.com/Myles.
What up, Brian? What up, Game Cats? It's good to be here. Got a lot to talk about today. Really looking forward to it. 2 new games to talk about. Quite different games, would you say, Brian? Slightly different tonally.
It took me a second. I was like, "What games are we talking about today?" Yes, I would say tonally much different. Yes,
I think they're going for slightly different things. So yeah,
I think so. But that's okay. Slightly different things are great. Myles, obviously, we want to give everyone a reminder here. If you're looking for people to play PSVR2 games with, PSVR1 games with, make sure you come join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. It's a great place to do all that kind of stuff. There's a weekly Sunday multiplayer meetup where the whole community gets together and plays multiplayer games. But also, our moderator, Nick Mulo, has set up the greatest system in the world so that if there's a specific PSVR2 game that you want to get a multiplayer game going of, then come to our Discord, and he's got it all set up for you. It alerts everyone else who wants to play that game. You all have the same rules. It works perfectly. It's awesome. But Myles, enough about our Discord.
Which is awesome, by the way. Can I just say the Discord is amazing?
Yeah. Well, it has nothing to do with me.
People should join. People should join it as well.
Shout out to all the mods who make that Discord.
And the link is in the description down below.
You're just waiting for me to talk to interrupt me again, aren't you?
No, why would I do that?
No, shout out to all the amazing mods over there who make it amazing. Yes, Nick, in the world. I wasn't being hyperbolic. It's factual. Myles, enough about the Discord. What's going on your channel these days?
It's been incredible. Honestly, this community is amazing. The Let's Plays have just been going really, really well. Everything is climbing up. My channel just had its best month since October 2017, and I always excuse the PSVR2 launch month in February because that was like an anomaly, but we beat that as well. And yesterday I live streamed Peaky Blinders and Cactus Cowboy Desert Warfare that we'll be talking about today. And I've also sort of been looking ahead, and I think what I'm just going to be doing now is when games come out, when I can, I will be playing them on those weekdays, usually a Tuesday or a Thursday, and then on the weekends, on Saturdays, I'll be playing the sort of the back catalogue. And I've sort of been planning the back catalogue for the next 5 weeks or so, and I've worked out now that if I play 3 games, forget all the new games, I'll be doing that during the week. If I play the back catalogue 3 games a weekend before the end of the year, I will have caught up and I will have let's played every single PSVR2 title, including games like Human Anatomy VR, which I don't know. I think I could give that a miss. I don't know if that would be a good let's play experience. I mean, I could teach a bit of biology and stuff, but I don't. I think we can miss that, right? Maybe that would have to be the final one we do or something. I don't know, but yeah. You sound like
someone trying to quit smoking. You're like, I'll have 5 cigarettes today and 5 cigarettes tomorrow, and then on Thursday I'll smoke 4 cigarettes, and then on Friday I'll smoke 4 cigarettes again. Saturday I'm only going to smoke 3. You sound like you're trying to quit something. This is like a weird addiction.
And dealing with some underlying trauma, which I was talking to some gay cats the other day, and I was like, when we get to the next like top 25. I will be in the best position I've ever been to talk about like games overall, because I've always sort of been playing catch up in the PSVR era. Right. And I think coming to PSVR2 and being like, I need to take this seriously now. Maybe it's just gone too far, Brian. But I do look forward to getting to a point once I have caught up, because then it means it'll be, just a couple of games here or there a week with the new launches and stuff. But, sort of joking aside, really, really grateful for this community. I've always said this, it's amazing, and everyone's been incredibly supportive, and always hearing stories, as I'm sure, I know Brian does when it comes to reviews. Some people have used my Let's Plays and it's helping make the decision with that and your review on whether or not to purchase games. And on the one hand, that's amazing to hear, but on the other hand, it's a bit nerve-wracking, because it's like, God, hope you haven't regretted anything yet.
Myles, we just told people to join our Discord for some multiplayer reasons, but another great reason to join the Discord is because of all the viewer takeover questions that you can leave over there that we implement right into the show without even having to tip, like Fifth did. I always feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong. Like I feel like I'm missing a letter. I feel like it should be fifth, but it's just fifth. And so I feel like I'm speaking with a lisp. Not a lisp. A lisp. Because I'm missing a letter. You see what I'm saying? You see? Okay. Anyway, so fifth.
Snap out of it, Brian.
No, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be one of those shows. Fifth with the Australian $5 says, well done, Myles, for 100 PSVR2 game streams. Thanks for the hours of entertainment. Peaky Blinders isn't blurry. It's all the cigarette smoke in the air. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second for sure. Hell yeah, man. Congratulations on... it's been quite the journey, man. It's been quite the journey.
I mean, it's just amazing when you think about PSVR2 overall, of like all the games that have come out and the experiences we've had, and it's not even been a year yet. So just and even when we think about October, I know this has been mentioned many times before, but it is worth reiterating for those that perhaps haven't heard us say it before, which is there were a lot of delays in October. There were a lot of heavy hitters we were excited for that didn't come out, which means hopefully they're going to be coming out, in the next few months. Everything from Phasmophobia to Madison VR, Happy Funland, a lot of horror games really. But yeah, the best is still yet to come with this platform. And it's been an awesome ride so far.
Yeah, agreed. But getting back to that Discord, you can ask some viewer takeover questions there. So we, okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to do two things at once, and I'm not doing a very good job.
Do you want me to grab the question, one of the first questions?
Myles, why don't you read the first question, and I'll figure out what I'm doing over here.
Cool. This one comes from Andrew with the viewer takeover. He says, how come we aren't getting more games with the Hellblade VR treatment? Seems like it wouldn't be too difficult compared to bringing first-person games fully into VR. Something like Plague Tale would be amazing. What games would you like to see brought into VR in that style? So just to clarify, this VR style, as far as I understand, is third-person games where in VR you're basically playing what you would see on the flat screen, except obviously you can look behind you. You are in the world, but you are pretty much playing the same game from the same perspective.
Right?
Is that right?
Yeah. So what games seem to make sense like that? I mean, I think a lot of people have pointed to like Souls-like games or Soulsborne games and said, you kind of need to see what's around you, and the roll is really important to dodge attacks, and doing all that in first person just wouldn't work the way that you wanted to. Or other people have said, oh, Brian, you want a proper Spider-Man game in VR? That's not going to work in first person. And here's a list of the reasons. Or Horizon, the reason we got Call of the Mountain is because the core Horizon. But if you could just sit there, and play any of these games, but in third person VR with a sense controller, with a dual sense, then problem solved, right?
Yeah, no. There's a few games that come to mind. You just mentioned Spider-Man now, having just recently played Spider-Man 2. The idea of experiencing that in VR from that perspective would be incredible. Like the speed you can swing now and use like the web glider is incredible. So that'd be good. But the first game that really came to my mind, and this is a game that I've argued I'd love to come to PSVR2 as a first-person game, but in third person, arguably might be the better way for it to be done, and that would be Returnal. Because the bullet hell, just seeing stuff fly past you and then being able to sort of look behind and get even more a greater sense of perspective. Because if I'm not mistaken, that is the devs behind Returnal worked on Super Stardust HD.
Yep.
And there was a VR version. I never played the VR version, but I'm assuming it was exactly what we're talking about here, right? Third person, but in VR.
It was the same game. You were still seeing it from a third person perspective. You were still, going around that sphere. There was a bonus mode where you could play first person, but it had nothing to do with what we'd consider Super Stardust HD. It was kind of just a first person, more like Battlezone shooter. And it was really boring.
That's a shame.
Yeah, for sure. So there's plenty of them. But yeah, I would absolutely take like Bloodborne. I feel like that's the number one for me. It's like, let's get that into VR, and it doesn't need to be first person. It's totally fine as is. You said Returnal, and I agree with you that would be a great choice. But I don't think I could get over my infantile desire to play that in first person, because there's just something about that world and something about that character in the attacks and dodging bullet hell attacks. I just want to do that in first person. Like, I want them to figure out a way to do that in first person. And I know that it's closed-minded of me to say, no. It's VR, it's going to be first person. But no, that game specifically, I want to see what it's like in first person.
Agree. Well, even if they did the third person, there would be first person moments, because no spoilers, but there are certain moments where it goes into the first person view. So if they were developing that, they do that bit and go, actually, you know what? Maybe we just do the rest like this. But yeah, like the thing, my biggest memory of Returnal was actually not to do with like what you could see, because visually it was a stunning game. It was actually the audio design, the 3D audio design. I still think it's still some of the best 3D audio we've seen on the PS5 since launch.
Nice. So before we move on, I definitely have to say that last Astrobot game we got, the one that was meant to show off the DualSense. That's fine. Like, you can keep it as a DualSense game, but I want to play Astro in VR. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I miss Astro. Professor Lois with the $5 tip gives us another reason to join Discord. It says, "Hi, GameCats. This week is a stunning upset. The Sunday multiplayer will be Galaxy Kart, 2 p.m. Eastern. Daylight savings starts that day."
Yes.
Okay, and is it always 2 p.m. Eastern? Or is it usually 3 p.m. Eastern? This is awful. I should know this.
When does the clocks change? Because I've heard that it changes Sunday night. Now, it must be Sunday morning. They wouldn't do it on the night that you're going into Monday.
Right? Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Let's sort this out.
It used to matter to me, but now I just wake up and it's whatever time it is, and I'm like, okay, time to get going. Yep. Mm-hmm. It used to matter, but now all clocks changed by themselves. I don't have to change my little digital alarm next to my bed by hitting that button and going 23 hours ahead because you can't go 1 hour back for some unknown fucking reason. Right? No, now everything just happens. Everything just changes. My iPhone changes. My Echo Show changes. It just happens. Dude, Galaxy Kart. Awesome stuff. Listen, we were going to talk about this later, but I want to talk about this now because it only makes sense. Galaxy Kart's fucking awesome. Okay, it still needs work. There's still a lot of bugs, but I'm actually really enjoying Galaxy Kart. And if you guys know, you guys have obviously been paying attention. I know that you have. It's getting a lot of support from the developers, and they are basically listening to every single thing that we've suggested. Not only has it gotten, it got 2 new maps recently. There's 3 more maps coming soon. There's wheel support coming soon. I was just talking to the developers this morning. They said they were testing it with the G29, just like the default settings, like without them going in and doing anything. And they said the force feedback already feels good. The Thrustmaster, like they're still waiting for the legal stuff to go through to get support for that properly. But like apparently, like wheel support already feels good. Race with one hand, shoot with the other type thing. Exactly what I'm looking for. And when I saw that they were actually staying true to their word and actually bringing us all this content and, upping the player count and everything else, then I was like, you know what? Let's shoot for the stars. I said, I think this game would shine if you could get it up and running at 90 frames per second native. And today he told me that they're going to make it happen.
Ooh.
So listen, this is slowly becoming like our go-to kart racer. There's not a lot of options. There's no options really on PSVR2 right now. But I think this game is eventually going to be very, very good. And even right now, as is still kind of a little bit janky, it's still a whole lot of fun. And so I'm very excited for the future of this game.
Yeah, that is very exciting. One of the main issues I had when I first played it was just the lack of feeling of speed, which is very important in a racing game. And we've all agreed that, like, since the updates, you definitely get that sense now. This is actually the game I just keep on delaying as a Let's Play. I've still not done a Let's Play yet. I was going to be doing it this weekend, but with all these updates, it might never happen. I might just keep waiting. There's more stuff coming, but I'm really excited to do it as a Let's Play, and just jumping in with GameCast is always a good time. This is a great comeback story for them,
dude. And I mean, for everyone out there everyone like me who bought a wheel or even a rig for Gran Turismo 7, and it's just kind of been sitting around for a few months because, maybe you're not as obsessed with Gran Turismo as you were during the launch period. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy. I just saw Snafu in the chat say, wait, so a wheel and a Sense controller at the same time? Yes, that's exactly it. You get to drive with one hand and shoot with the other. It's going to be fucking great. So... anyway, so I'm really excited about it, and I know that it's ridiculous. When I first reviewed this game, it was a 3.5, and I stand by that launch score. It's already better than that, and it's going to be even better than that soon enough. So, 90 frames per second, like that alone, I think that's going to make the sense of speed even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hippie Pickle with the 2 quid says, here's a tip from a tipsy pickled game cat. Wow. It's Friday night. People are getting tipsy, Myles. I'll drink to that. I'll drink some chloroform to that. Cheers.
I'll drink to that. Cheers.
Clink. I'm drinking coffee because I had it at PSVR this week when this is over. So.
Oh man. I don't really drink beer that often, and what I do is, like, every few months I'll just buy like a crate of beer or bottles, just to just have in the fridge in case I have friends over, and then the months go by and I've not had friends over, so then I'm like, well, I guess I can make my way through this. Right. I'm with friends now.
Better drink them before they go bad. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, how long does beer last? I don't know.
I mean, in my fridge. Yeah. I mean, back when I was still drinking 10 years ago now, no alcohol that I would purchase would ever make it through the night. It didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter if I'd stocked up for a month. That alcohol was not lasting the night. Which
if stored properly in a refrigerated area, bottled beer will last up to 6 months. If stored in a warm environment, bottled beer can spoil in 3. There we go.
That's it, 3? Oh,
I learned something today.
That's actually shockingly long for a warm environment.
Yeah, I agree.
Thundercat Game Cat with the 5 quid says, loving Galaxy Kart, but where is Wipeout? That'd be sick. I agree. Wipeout would be sick. Even better if they let me use my racing rig.
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, I mean, the millions of PSVR 1 games that we want over here on PSVR 2. Millions. Literally. hundreds. Same thing. Okay, we got one more viewer takeover question, and then we're gonna get started on the show. The Boffin says, #viewer takeover. When PSVR 2 launched in February with pretty low-key marketing, a lot of people attributed this to being a soft launch for the hardcore fans, and that the real launch would be holiday 2023. Now we are in November, and companies' Christmas marketing is starting. Do you believe this still to be the case? And will we see a real launch campaign for PSVR 2? Myles?
Yeah. I think 2024 now. It's been pushed back.
We're still in the soft launch era.
Yeah, I do. And to be fair, like with a bit of a serious tone on this conversation, all you got to do is have a look at the absolute shit show that has been the gaming industry, especially the last few weeks with like layoffs and just like there's massive shockwaves going through the industry at the moment with even some of the biggest publishers and developers laying off lots and lots of people. And so it's been a really, really tough year for the gaming industry, although I put that with a bit of an asterisk because obviously for shareholders and CEOs, they seem to be doing fine. It's all the people that actually work towards the games that seem to be really struggling. But the reason I bring that up is I definitely think there is just still this delay. I mean, I also think we always talk about it in the context of VR, which is very, very important. But when there's questions like where are all the AAA VR games or where are the games in VR, it's like you could ask those questions with the flat screen games as well. And, is there going to be a big game that they're going to be, marketing in the lead up to Christmas for PlayStation 5 other than Spider-Man 2, which is a good game and arguably that could be the one. But it definitely feels like there's nothing tangible to be excited for in the new year. I mean, I'm excited generally because I think there's still lots of great stuff that we don't know about yet, but it's having that tangible sense of direction of what comes next. I guess Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be pretty big, and also we've got Resident Evil 4. What's the date on that, Brian? We don't have a date for it yet.
I mean, this winter I think is the date.
But it was just that one article that said it was this side of Christmas, right? But right. We still don't know.
One PlayStation blog post said later this year.
Right.
Which means it'll be out like middle of next month, basically.
Right. Yeah.
If that's to be believed, but who the fuck knows at this point? Yeah, Myles, I think PlayStation's taking the low-key approach to all marketing, that's for sure. They're sort of letting the console speak for itself and the game speak for itself. And I think they're actually, unfortunately, finding out that the thing's going to fucking sell no matter what. That the games are selling, that the console's selling, and they don't really have to do much push because when the game comes out and everyone's loving Spider-Man, it's getting 10s or 9s or 8s or whatever it's getting. And we've already got this pretty cool back catalog for people who are digging the first party Sony AAA games like God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West. Like these are reasons for people to finally dive into the PlayStation ecosystem this Christmas. And as always, the PlayStation 5 is the most important thing. They even talked about that recently in an interview, saying PlayStation 5 is the most important thing, and that's also the most important thing this holiday. And the PSVR 2 isn't the most important thing because without PlayStation 5, there's nothing. And so any marketing that they do is going to be for PlayStation 5. And I think, and I really, really do think, it sounds like I'm giving Sony an out when I say this. But I don't think if they pump millions and millions and millions of dollars into marketing the PSVR 2, that it's actually going to convince millions and millions of people to buy a PSVR 2. And I think they know that. I think they've realized that with PSVR 1. They want to stay in the game, but they know that their marketing dollars aren't going to do too much. The best thing that they can do is keep throwing a few $1 million at Capcom and other AAA companies and bringing the people who are enjoying PSVR 2 quality content for years to come. And they just have to wait for the market to grow. Do I think that they're going to push PSVR 2 this year? Nope. Do I think they're going to push it next year? Maybe by Christmas. Mm-hmm. But this generation is turning out much different than we expected it to. And maybe that means it's just off to a slower start than we expected. But it's definitely so far very different than what we expected.
So PSVR launched, the original PSVR launched October 2016.
Yep. When I had that tattooed on my shoulder, October 13, 2016.
And then 2013 was when the PS4 came out. So there was a 3-year. There it is. So it was 3-year difference. Whereas when it came to this, had it been a year and a half? Or am I thinking, or is it 2 years? I don't know. I just feel like the window between the PS5 coming out and the PSVR2 is obviously narrower. And there was all the issues with all the supply issues and that with the PS5. We've talked about this a lot on the show, which is the bottleneck for PSVR2 success is PS5s. A small percentage of people that own PS5s are going to own a PSVR2. So the way that you actually, increase that supply or demand is by filling the funnel at the top, which is getting people buying PlayStation 5s. People are rarely going to be buying both of them at the same time. So what you want to do is get them to buy PS5s, and then later down the line make the case of, and it will take individual IPs. They'll just keep ticking the boxes gradually, and people will keep jumping in. But unfortunately, going to be a lot slower. But when it comes to technology as a whole, as humans, we tend to always overestimate the short term, and we underestimate the long run. So I think in the short term, and I'm guilty of this, I'll let Brian speak for himself if he feels he's guilty. But when we think about like in the near future, we have all these big ideas of like, showcase, and they're going to show all these games and this, and we always tend to be disappointed. But in the long run, when it comes to the fact that, it's been less than a year, we've got PSVR 2. This headset is amazing. And there have been so many gaming experiences on there so far. In the long run of these last 10 months, it's been pretty awesome. So, I feel pretty mixed about it all.
Yeah. Also, it's funny because I don't know if people realize this. I don't know if people realize how impactful Sony showcases are or Sony state of plays are. But with very little money behind those things, Sony gets millions upon millions of eyes on them all at once. And then people report on that shit all over the place. There, if there's VR games, then all the VR outlets report on that. If there's flat screen games, all the flat screen outlets report on that. And so it's like they get this basically for free marketing. And I think they're realizing that marketing is changing. You can put a TV commercial out there, and who fucking sees TV commercials anymore? It's millions of dollars to produce and then put out and actually pay for airtime. And no one watches TV anymore. Like, it's crazy that like there's just in even YouTube, people switching to YouTube Premium, people are doing everything they can to get away from advertising. And so what's the best way to market to people who don't want to watch advertisements? Well, you call it a showcase. And so there are rumors of a state of play or a showcase happening in December. And so that could be their big push. Get all eyes on Sony again right before the holidays. Who knows? Anything's possible, but we'll see. We get a few tips. Let's catch up on them. Feel the magic. Hear the roar. Thunder Game Cats are loose with the Australian $2 tip. Says Myles is dying for a cigarette. You're not a smoker, are you?
No, but I was smoking a lot in Peaky.
I don't want to talk about Peaky Blinders. Oh, but we're going to have to. Living Legend with the Canadian $5 tip says, Happy Dire Day, Game Cats. It's a dire day indeed. I recently picked up an OLED Switch to keep me busy until Sony finally decides to not only support PSVR2, but also PS5. Dude, having a Switch and a PlayStation 5 is one of the greatest combos of all time. I love the Switch. Fifth with the Australian $5 tip says, I'm single. I don't know where this is going, by the way. I should have read this at a time. Can I start a Go F Me page like you did? LOL. Hope it's going well. I thought he was gonna say an OnlyFans page. Yeah. But Go F Me, I guess, is GoFundMe page. So
how is the GoFundMe page going? I'm actually having a look now.
It's pretty good.
Kicking along. $1,325.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of money. So huge thank you to everyone who's donated so far. And for those that haven't heard about it before, Brian, it is for the GameCat Meetup 2024.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. As always, I don't have anything prepared. I don't. I need the link. I have the link, but no. But I just need to have it handy at all times. I've got it now. And so that would make my life so much easier. Yeah, guys. GameCat Meetup 2024 is happening. The same dates as PAX East, and that's in Boston in March. Everything's expensive, obviously. Travel, airfare, whatever it might be, hotel rooms, the PAX tickets themselves. I'm gonna be renting a panel room. It's probably gonna be a couple grand. I have no idea. I've never rented a panel room, but I'm gonna find out. And man, we just want to make sure that all the co-hosts can get to the show, and that it won't be a problem. I want to make sure that we can make this thing happen, make it the best thing ever. Because, dude, how cool will it be for all four of us to be for the first time ever, be in the same room doing a live episode of GamesCast Live from PAX East?
What we should do is we should all turn up and have PSVR headsets and then do a virtual rec room, live Gamescast Live, but we're all in the same room. Make it as much of a missed opportunity as possible.
Nice.
That's how I always feel when you get sent places to play VR games. It was like at the beginning of the year when Brian was very kind to let me take his place for fast travel games. Got flown to Sweden.
I love that you say very kind, but if you didn't go, no one was going.
all right. Okay, I'll take that back. Yeah. Brian forcibly had to give me it.
Pushed him onto the plane, I think is what happened. It's like, go!
He's like, do it, or you're off the show. Okay, bro. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it was cool meeting all the devs and stuff like that. But there is this sort of weird thing to it of like you're taking a flight to then put a headset on and then spend time in a virtual world that you could have done from your own home. Right. But yeah, it's a funny thing.
All right, Myles. Let's see. You know what? We were just talking about Peaky Blinders. I think it's time to talk about Peaky Blinders for real. The game came out, I believe, on the 2nd. So that was just yesterday. This had been kicking around other VR platforms prior. It's based on a... Is the show itself British, or is it just starring British people?
It's a really good question. I mean, it was produced by BBC,
Okay.
But BBC does a lot of international efforts. But yeah, I would say Peaky Blinders was a British production.
Okay, well,
I'm having a look now. Yeah, it was done by BBC and BBC Two. Yeah.
Well, Myles, I don't believe this is a very long game. Sirens on my end. I've spent just over 3 hours with it. I thought I was walking up to the finale. I thought the credits were going to start rolling, and my controllers were dying. Like, they'd already given me the warning a while ago. And then while I was walking up to the bar where I thought the finale was going to be, one of my controllers died. My right controller died. And I was like, oh man, my left controller's only got a few minutes left. I walk in the door. It's amazingly let me keep playing. And all the characters are talking. And I was like, roll the credits. My controller's about to die. And it didn't happen. So I don't know how much more I have to go, but I did play for just over 3 hours, blasted through the campaign, pretty much one sitting. And boy, oh boy, was I disappointed by this. Before I dive into all of my complaints, what was your experience with it?
So I've never seen the show. I didn't do any research before playing it. I went in blind and just thought I'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I played about an hour and a bit. I have a lot of frustrations with this, but there's a lot of things I think they do really, really well. One of the things is they've captured the environment's really great. British pubs, when you go into homes, they're really small and tight, like corridors and that. They're small and cozy, which is like a lot of British homes. I'm always blown away when I go to the States and then all these rooms are just like massive spaces. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the environments are really, really great, which I will bring up one of my frustrations, which is that the resolution's just not great. And I kept taking my headset off and looking at my social screen on my laptop where I was broadcasting. And I was like, oh no, it's not blurry on there. And I was like, if it looked like that, this would be a lot better, because the ambience of a lot of the streets with the lighting is really, really good. I think the characters are fine. I think the voice acting is decent. I mean, it's got the voice actors from the show on there. So as someone that has never watched the show, I hear great things about it. I have no real interest of going into it. It was a fine experience. I'm probably gonna stick with it and just see where it goes. and I think that there are some interesting mechanics. But as we always do, it's very easy. Like when you're in the pub for the first time and you're sat down talking with someone else, I'm just thinking about the Heist VR on the PSVR, and I just think about where things have been done better. But there are some really small details that I think they've done very, very well. You have a cigarette, and if you press the trigger button, you actually tap on the cigarette, and the ash comes off the end of it. Like, such a small, minor thing, but pretty cool.
A minor thing that was done better in 2016 on PSVR Worlds in the London Heist. Like,
yeah, that was also the London Heist let you tap it as well. I didn't know they could.
I don't remember if you could tap it or not, but the part of putting it in your mouth and then exhaling, like, this was just all automated. It wasn't like listening for a microphone or anything. It felt much more natural, in 2016.
Yeah.
This felt like a kind of a low rent version of that.
That's exactly it. That was the one I was trying to think of, the London Heist.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I actually agree that there was a bunch of things that were done well in this, which didn't make up for the entire experience. It is blurry. We should mention that the developers did get in touch with us today and said, hey, we're hearing a lot of people report on certain issues with the game. And I responded, I said, what issues are people having? They said, well, some people are saying the text is blurry or the game is blurry. And I said, yep, that's absolutely true. And so they said, we're looking into it, which weirds me the fuck out, Myles. What do you mean we're looking into it? Didn't anybody test this before the game launched? This is a blurry ass game. And what do you mean you're looking into the fact that you're hearing reports of it being blurry? It's a blurry game. Period. There's no reports. It's a blurry game. If you tested it yourself, you would have noticed this, and of course they did. And so I don't know what's going on, but right now it's annoying enough for that alone to me say don't fucking buy this right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, and so, and that's really unfortunate because although there's other things wrong with the game, I do think that there's good things about this. If you're like me and you love exploring every single corner of every single map, they give you a shit ton of reasons to do that. In almost every location, there's a radio that's not working that you open up and you have to find the pieces and put it back together and turn it on.
See, I didn't work that out. I kept finding the bulb that you find, but I didn't know you could open them up and stuff. So I need to go back and do that.
There's two pieces that you need to find in every location to get the radios working again. And then on top of that, there's collectible cigarette packs. There are some kind of, I don't know, they call it Tokyo Potion or something. I don't even know what it is. Right. It obviously relates to the game somehow, or the TV show somehow, but I don't know what the fuck it is. And then there's so many different things to collect. And and I took my time and explored every single environment. There's bullets to collect, every single environment. But when I got to the end, I was missing so many. When they showed me how many I had missed, I couldn't believe it because I took my time and tried to find them all. So if you
like trophy,
yeah, there is a platinum trophy. If you like collectathons, this has a lot of collectathon shit to do in it. If you like shooting people, well, you can do that in this game too. But the shooting's terrible. I think this is some of the lamest gunplay I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get to the gunplay in a minute. In terms of the blurriness, it does make me wonder when it comes to devs of like, is it just that when they work on these games, they do it in isolation? I just feel like, do they play a few PSVR2 games that just happen to be quite blurry as well, and they think that's the standard? Because I kind of just feel like you want to just everyone to just put the headset on and play, something like Red Matter and go, look, this is what clarity looks like. I mean, we're going to talk about Cactus Cowboy later. Mm-hmm. That game, the art style is a lot simpler, but the resolution on that, when you get sort of complex designs on your guns and that, it looks incredible. So, like, just having a sense of it. And you just got to do the Brian Poole test with this game. When the game fires up and you have the title screen come up, it's blurry. It's white text on a black screen. And, as everyone knows, the famous Brian Poole test, it just doesn't pass it, does it, Brian?
So I found out today, we need to address this. I found out today that you were calling this the Myles Dyer test, that you start a game, and if you see the very first thing you see is a blurry logo of the studio that made it, you know you're in trouble. This is the Myles Dyer test.
I did it on chat today. Just brought it up randomly. That it was the Miles Dyer test, and Brian got so annoyed.
I lost it. I was like,
he lost it.
I was like, I've been joking about this on GAMESCAST for months. I was like,
We've talked about it loads before.
Did you just steal this from me? And you did.
Yeah, we did. And Brian was very annoyed. No, to be honest, I'm surprised I'm here right now. So yeah, it's a bit of a miracle in itself.
But
no, the beginning that. Even once you're into the opening screen, you're on the balcony and you're looking out. And my genuine thought was, and this is how I felt with a few games before. Actually, it's what I felt about Seventh Guest. Mm-hmm. I was like, I wish the resolution was a bit better. But is it because they're going for this like misty aesthetic? And like, obviously, this is about industrial Birmingham. And then I looked at the social screen, which looks a lot clearer, and I was like, no, this is definitely an issue with the resolution. So I definitely think that's a big issue. But going on to the gunplay, I'll just start with a hit first, and then you can take the rest. Before you even get to sort of it is a part of the gunplay, but before you even get to like the shooting, actually, I'll tie it from something we spoke about before, the cigarettes. I don't know about you, but there's a few times where I went to grab the cigarette, and the gun came out. Like, I pulled the gun out my mouth. You have to have your hand right above the cigarette, or else because the gun you store in the middle.
Right.
And someone in the chat told me when I was doing the Let's Play, well, that's because you're keeping it in your jacket. Well, then kind of do it either side, which, I think Resident Evil does it. You do it in the jacket in the village.
In Resident Evil, you open up the jacket and take it out. Right. I love that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Or have it holstered. So that was a bit weird. And then, Brian, what's the ammo limit like? How much ammo can you store on you?
Oh, you mean the fact that there's no inventory, so you can't store any ammo?
Right.
And so you just have to be near a box that spawns it conveniently.
Yeah, the first time you're in a massive battle and you're going through the streets, there's conveniently left ammo boxes along the way because you're like, I'm out of ammo. Oh, there's one there. I'll just pick that up and lock and load. And I had a lot of issues with trying to cock the gun. Like if you kept on, there was times where I was trying to cock the gun and I was swapping hands of it. And
you don't ever need to cock the gun more than once.
Right.
You do it once and then boom, and then you just put the new clip in. You're fine.
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah.
It is very weird.
And it just feels like a shooting gallery. Like they're basically telling you, like, here's where the ammo is going to spawn. So you just crouch here and you just shoot until people stop showing up, and then you move forward into the environment to the next box that has an infinitely respawning ammo, and you just crouch there, and then boom, 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 boom. It just feels like a shooting gallery. It feels so soulless. But I kept thinking, Myles, the entire time I was playing this, I kept thinking, what if this was a VR experience based on a franchise that I loved? What if this was Fringe VR? And I was going through, and it was those characters instead, and I was experiencing all sorts of weird sci-fi shit. I was like, I don't know, man. I might give this way more of a pass. I might say, hey, like all the stuff that really sucks about this game, I'd be okay with because I really like this world and I like these characters. But since I was unfamiliar with Peaky Blinders, like there was nothing here for me. And so I'm wondering if Peaky Blinders fans get any enjoyment out of it. But for me, as far as like the show goes, as far as the game goes on its own, at best, it's like a 5 out of 10 at best. And that's like kind of not even taking into account the blurry graphics, just looking at the game itself. So this was rough, man. This was rough. Hopefully we'll get a patch that kind of cleans things up a little bit, because later in the game, it's not even just about the blurry graphics. Later in the game, frame rate just takes an absolute dump.
Really?
Yeah, I was going through sections where I was like, if people who don't have their VR legs are going to get sick, because it's entire sections that are just like awful.
Wow.
Bad.
Yeah, and my recommendation for this is just, if I was a fan of any IP and there's a VR game, if they've created decent environments, I think it's worth getting. Like, that's what I honestly feel. If I was a massive Peaky Blinders fan, I think I'd probably find this pretty awesome just to walk around. Even if, treating it like more of a museum, if you don't find the gameplay appealing, but you might find it appealing because you're immersed in that world. and the characters around. But with if they're going to increase the graphic fidelity, the resolution, then it's worth waiting until that's done before if you're going to experience it properly. But again, industrial Birmingham. I've actually been around some of the buildings that were used in the filming when I used to work a few times in Birmingham, and so actually seeing like the buildings in this, it was cool. It was cool, but no connection with the show. Don't really understand a lot of it, but I do think there is something here. If you're a fan of the show.
All right, Myles, we got a few more tips to talk about here. So let's kick it off. Ace Gamer, the Game Cat Turduck Kitten. I still have major problems with this. I don't want to think of a kitten as part of a turducken. I don't know. Maybe there's people out there who keep ducks and turkeys as pets that go, what's the fucking difference? It's possible. With the 1337 tip, because PlayStation head of internal production Connie Booth leaves Sony after 34 years to discuss or not to discuss. This is, I mean, tip of the iceberg from what it sounds like. It sounds like there's been all sorts of problems over at Sony, and it doesn't sound like things are going terribly well. I'd be curious. I think the thing I'm more curious about, because I always say I don't think one person makes a difference in terms of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? When it comes to Jesus Christ, man, my brain is just so broken today. When it comes to Jim Ryan leaving, I'm like, it's not going to make that much big of a difference. Like, hopefully it does. Hopefully somebody who loves VR gets in there and makes some changes. But like, even if they are in there, they still have a board of directors and investors and everybody else to deal with. So it's like they're not going to make these decisions on their own. And so I'm never too concerned when it's just one person. Even though Connie has been there for 34 years, which I'm sure is like, monumental, and also I think you form loyalties, and when somebody leaves, that starts a train of people leaving. A lot of people say, well, I worked for Connie Booth for 30 years, like, and I'm loyal and I'm going wherever they go. What I'm more concerned about are those rumors about Firesprite just being in complete disarray right now. I don't know if you heard about that. And basically, because Firesprite went from being 50 people to like 300 people very quickly, and then they started taking on all these different projects. There's like 3 games in development over at Firesprite, and now there's rumors that like everything's on fire and burning to the ground. Like, those are rumors, and it sounds like they could have just been started by some Xbox fanboys, but we don't know. So this sounds like there's a lot of stuff going down at Sony, and hopefully there'll be some clarification on, more of exactly what happened. Because right now I think we're barely hearing even one side of a story, never mind the whole story.
Yeah. And I just think it goes to the larger picture as well, is I think the industry is just going through a massive realignment. There is something taking place here, I think, for all sorts of reasons. We have a time where you have people releasing games with, single people developing games and able to like smash it on the market.
Yep.
So that democratization does actually have an impact. It's like with all the industries, when YouTube came along, what it meant for the TV industry then had to modernize and sort of meet halfway with where the internet was. And I think that's exactly what's is happening with gaming to some degree. So there is a lot of disruption. Also, with the fact of like sky high inflation, with the difficulties of the economy, and the fact that we came out of a pandemic, which strangely caused a massive spike in the adoption of gaming. So there was a massive boom, which then was going to fall off when people started going back to work and living their lives again. Although I'm still gaming fuckloads, but yeah.
Yeah, I think all that happened during the pandemic was people got to work from home and find out that no one was paying attention to what they were doing, so they could game for half the day.
This is it. It was that stat I always remember, which was something. Well, I say I can remember, and I'm now saying, I think it was this, but it was either a half or 2/3 of PlayStation 5s that were bought at launch were bought by people that had never owned a PlayStation in their life. Wow. And the amount of people I've seen own a PS5 and become gamers during the pandemic, and even PS5 owners getting PSVR2 and influencers getting into the VR space. It's been amazing to see, but I definitely have to keep recommending, like, they kind of go back to their flat screen stuff. And for me, it's very clear that influencers, PS5 influencers that have the VR headsets, they need, I don't want to say educate. It is educating, but I don't mean that in a patronizing way. Like, the whole issue of, like, where are the games? You have to look really hard for them. The reason we know about them is because we talk about it all the time and we live and breathe it. But for, like, casual gamers, which is what most gamers are, VR requires you to do your homework, because the majority of the best experiences aren't necessarily popular IPs.
Yeah, I think that's probably the problem. People are looking for going through the PSVR2 store page and being like, "Where's Call of Duty VR? Where's Assassin's Creed VR? Where are these big titles?" And yeah, VR is kind of its own little ecosystem right now.
That's it.
Yeah. So that answers the Connie Booth question somehow. I don't know how. We're gonna move on. Feel the magic, hear the roar. Thunder Game Cats are loose. It says, "Go F me and BBC. The stream's gone crazy." Thank you for your $2 $2.
Cheers, appreciate that.
Yeah, the stream's gone crazy. That's what we like. Ziner with a $2 tip says, "I can get you a deal on a transatlantic boat ride."
Oh, how long is it going to take? If I leave now, if I leave tomorrow, I'll just make it just in time to PAX East. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh man, Ace Gamer, the Game Cat Turd Duck Kitten with the 1337 says, "Brian needs a Game Cat hoodie fund. Hashtag BNGCH." It's true. I have almost none of my own Game Cat merch because I have to buy it all. And so I'm like, man, I hope this is good. Fingers crossed. And then people buy it and they go, "It is good." And I'm like, that's awesome. So glad to hear it. But I have to just take them at their word because, yeah. But I definitely need a Game Cat hoodie. So thank you so much, Ace Gamer. We appreciate it. Twitcher, the Deuce Juice Game Cat with the 10 quid says, "Turned on Fox News last night and they were showing pictures of foxes. Turned over to Sky News and they were showing pictures of the sky. Then I turned over to BBC News and I couldn't believe my eyes." I know there's a joke in there.
I know the joke.
Oh, I know the joke too. You never go back, Myles. You never go back. And that's as much time as we're going to pay attention to that, Twitcher. Sorry, we love you, but Kill Artist One, the Dreamweaver Game Cat with the $5 tip says, "How are we getting blurry games on such a powerhouse of a VR system? Baffling to me." Lazy ports. I really hate the expression. Like, I really hate when we talk about, like, lazy developers, lazy devs, lazy ports. But at a certain point, you got to say these people just wanted to get their game over to PSVR2 and just push it out the door, because that's exactly what they did. If they cared about taking full advantage of the PSVR2, well, there are absolutely ways to do that, and they did not. So that's a shame. Blurry graphics, bad frame rate, sucks. Hopefully that patch will do something. Man, this keeps moving all over the place. Drippin' Wet, VR, BBW, Game Pussycat with the Australian $3 says, "It's my birthday. Happy birthday."
Happy birthday.
It's always somebody's birthday. But today it's yours.
Having a good day. Thanks for spending it with us.
How crazy would it be if there was a day out there where it was nobody's birthday? Like, there's, 10 billion people on the planet? What if, like, on February 9th, like, no one was ever born?
What's the leap year? February 28th? No, 29th?
Yeah.
29th? Yeah.
But like, what if there was just, like, this wacky coincidence where there was just one day where, like, oh, no, we don't celebrate birthdays on this day. No one has ever been born on February 9th. Like, just some random day. Like, have you ever...
That'd be pretty crazy. And Brian's frozen.
Oh, wait, no, you were frozen.
Brian's back. You froze for a minute. It was the most dramatic time to freeze. I said, what if they made a VR game about it? And you just...
You look like you were deep in thought yourself. And you're...
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I was. I'm always deep in thought.
I mean, there you go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, indeed. Let me just make sure that nothing's going on over here. Yeah, YouTube is saying everything's fine on my end. So that's good. Let's hope it stays that way. Yeah, no, have you ever been like walking through the woods or something and just like been like, I wonder if anyone's ever stood on that spot over there? And you go stand on it and you're like, what's the likelihood? Like, who the fuck knows what what was happening here, like, thousands of years ago? But like, there's got to be places on the planet that no one's ever stood.
No one's ever stood on.
Right.
That's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Should make a VR game about that as well. Call it Abandoned. Call it Abandoned.
Oh man, dude, you know what's funny is that on Wednesday's show we were talking about Abandoned, and and I didn't have the trailer ready, like for whatever reason, like even though I was obsessed with Abandoned for like the longest time, I didn't have the trailer ready, and so after the show, Awesome Tatum had sent me the trailer, being like, "Hey, have this ready the next time you talk about Abandoned." Like now, don't you remember this looking like photorealistic in the super tiny preview trailer that we got?
I mean, I thought it looked fine. Everyone was going on about it getting photorealistic, and I was like, yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, it did look pretty good in the woods, but I mean, that was a few years ago, wasn't it? And a lot's changed since then, Brian.
A lot's changed. Yeah, now we've got like these really indie games that like don't scream. I think it's the one that like looks like the VHS tape, and you're walking through the woods and you're not supposed to use your mic. Or if you scream, the game resets. Looks fucking photorealistic. And then there's like the police cam one and like or the body cam one. So since Abandoned got announced, my perception of what photorealism actually means is completely changed. And I don't think this trailer looks very good anymore, which is really strange to me. It's only been a couple years. It's been 3 years, I think, since this trailer came out. Maybe 4. I forget. But
man, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's lived up to its name. Good work, guys.
Yeah. Does not look photorealistic anymore. Oh man. I forgot we were supposed to be talking about VR games. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with the $5 says, let's be honest, I think if Sony would just give us VR porn, there'd be a lot less bitching about what games we'd be missing, and Brian wouldn't need that porno mag. Listen, you don't
supposedly
know
that's why a certain senior person had to leave PlayStation, because they were pushing for something that the rest of the company didn't agree with. But allegedly, we don't know. Am I legally covered?
You heard it here first. Jim Ryan wanted PSVR2 porn, and Sony's like, get out. That must have been what happened. I don't know, man. Fucking whatever. I take a porn app on PSVR2, whatever. It's not how I like to consume my porn. I don't like VR porn. That's just me, but whatever. Dinner and Pajama, the geeky game. I can't read the rest of it over here. Can you read it over there? Geeky game. I don't know.
Scroll up.
We're going to go with llama. Hey, Byron, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Yeah, he's doing the Marilyn Monroe thing.
President.
Yeah. Thank you. It's not my birthday. Appreciate it.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Stike Gamer, the VRAF Game Cat, with the €5 says, oh no, due to time shift back in winter in Germany, but not in US, I came online 1 hour too late. Fuck.
It's all right, man. I almost did the same. And then Brian called me and I was like, oh, whoa. I was just about to make myself a fruit bowl.
A fruit bowl.
I couldn't have sat here with a fruit bowl. That'd have been just totally wrong.
Yeah. A beer's fine, though.
The beer's fine. That's one of your 5 a day.
That's right. You need 5 beers a day?
That's my first. I might have 4 more.
I think 5's a good number. I think if you only drink 5 beers a day.
Number.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, the other game we want to really talk about today is Cactus Cowboy.
Cactus Cowboy.
Yeah. I don't think anyone, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think anyone was super excited about this game, like leading up to launch. I personally still have not gotten around to playing the first PSVR2 Cactus Cowboy, which I know is not the first Cactus Cowboy game ever made. But there was one at launch that was free to play, single player campaign, the whole deal. And so when this new one was coming out, 7-8 months later now, I was like, man, I haven't even played the first one. Like, how can I get excited about this? And I played it for a while, and I enjoyed the crap out of it. Surprisingly, because I'm not a big fan of like stupid looking cartoon characters, and we've had enough of the low poly art style in VR, but it feels good to play, and that's crystal clear, the whole thing. What did you think?
So I played the first one, I think at launch very briefly, and I couldn't get past like the opening mission. I was stuck on a part, and I was like, yeah, all right, maybe come back to it later. And then when doing the Let's Plays, I think a few months ago, I played it again, and I got through the first bit. And then this is the Plants at War. Then it really started opening up, and I was enjoying it. The game it ran smooth, it looked decent. And there was clearly lots and lots of content. I was pretty impressed with like the levels and the set pieces. So when I knew this was coming over the horizon, I wasn't really hyped about playing this, but I was kind of interested. I thought I'm really interested to see how you take it to another level. And also this is in the context that Plants at War was a free game. And for a solo developer, that's a lot of goodwill. And this one was obviously coming with a price tag, and I think the pacing from the get-go is a lot better. It still has like cinematic moments. The opening when you're on the helicopter and you're going down the road and you stick your head out and you can see it all the way down. There's boss fights. The guns feel great. I mean, honestly, if I was to summarize this, and then I'll go to you so we can talk about things specifically, but as an overall thing, Cactus Cowboy Desert Warfare is super ridiculous, super silly, but most importantly, it's super fun. It feels great. The guns feel great. Everyone always talks about on the live stream how loud the gunfire is. Like, it is just blistering loud. The manual reloading is great. And all the characters are silly. There's a few bits where I just want to get onto the next bit, and I feel like I'm standing around a bit too much, but there's not a huge amount of that. It's very easy to pick up. You know what you need to do, and there's an upgrade system with stores. And I actually do think the environments do shake up quite a lot. Without going into spoilers, which might sound like a weird thing about saying about this game, but when you go into the caves and it gets dark, I found that quite an awesome turn in the game. But yeah, I've played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it so far.
All right, well, you're definitely further in than I am. Unfortunately, I wanted to play even more today before the show, but with all the construction going on around here, I didn't get a chance to, unfortunately. But I played enough to know that like this is a game that I want to get back to, that I want to see more of, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I did not think I'd be saying that. It's there's all sorts of things that keep me that want to push me away, from the character designs to the obviously AI read voiceovers, the whole thing, just the presentation in general. I'm like, I'm just kind of over the low poly thing. But then you get in the guns feel really good. The reloading feels really good. They're basically delivering on a lot of the things that people are asking for in VR games. And I mean, and I know this is probably a really small thing, but I was just talking about in Peaky Blinders being like, for people who love collectathons, like that's got a lot of shit to collect. There's money in this game, and in finding it and using the Half-Life Alyx, pull to grab mechanic to pick it up, feels good. And so anytime you encounter a storefront where you can customize your weapon, you can buy skins for it, you can buy laser sights, you can buy grips. I mean, there's plenty of ways to upgrade your weapon. It gives you a reason for slowing down, exploring the environment, and finding as much money as you possibly can. I was watching your stream, Myles, and you got to the first store and you had like $100, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna slow the fuck down when I play, and I'm gonna find as much money as possible. And I was finding it everywhere, and that made it way more exciting for me. Gave me a reason to, I was looking forward to being like, hey, I'm gonna go upgrade my weapon at the next shop.
And what's great is when you upgrade your weapon, it will upgrade that weapon type. So if you drop it and leave it behind and you find them later in the level, that will have those characteristics, which is really great. The I mentioned this a bit earlier when we were talking about Peaky Blinders and sort of the resolution. Have you upgraded? I don't know. This sounds like a ridiculous thing to say about this game, but when I upgraded, I chose the skin for my assault rifle, and it was called like Cosmo Cactus, and it was like these swirly multicolours.
Yeah.
Once I bought it and I looked at the gun, I literally spent a full minute looking at it going, this looks so clear. like the design, I genuinely got a bit giddy thinking, this is incredible. And what I love about the developer is always going on about considerations and you know, and everyone is always, you know, very positive and like very chatty about their own game experiences. But it was very clear in this development process that they were listening. Like I remember when they were speaking to me when I was doing my Let's Play of Plants at War, I was saying, "Oh, there's no platinum trophy," and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that platinum trophies were that important." I was like, "Got to put it in," and there's a platinum trophy in this game. And one of my feedbacks of this game was the store. I was a bit confused at first because when you put your gun down, you flick through like sights and lasers and that, and you can press the equip button and it says $0, and it wasn't adding anything. And that's just because you don't own it yet. You have to click next and then buy it, and then you can equip it. Mm-hmm. And they said actually this is the first time they've ever built in a game an in-game store, and so they're going to be tweaking it and fixing it. So listening to feedback. But I don't know, there's just something about when you have like a solo developer that's so embedded within the community that's listening. I think it's a bit of a cool thing for those of us that aren't developers to like, it's just a real insight and to be a part of like being able to give that direct feedback. This is a great game to be a part of. And so when people ask like, would I recommend this game? I mean, what is it, $15? Is it $15?
Yeah, the first one was free, this one's
£11. I mean, I don't know how long the game is, but if it's anything like Plants at War, for me it's my advice to people is if you're not sure about this and you're on the line, pick up Plants at War. It's free. Give it a go. And if you're like, there's something to this, then pick this game up because it's better in every single way. It's been optimized. The pacing's better. The variety of guns, the variety of boss battles and environments. It's a much smoother experience. And the dev actually told me on my Let's Play that they were actually able to, I think, what were they saying? They were able to increase the resolution even more. But it would then cause some minor stutters. So it's just interesting hearing about the trade-off. Oh, look, so in the video now, is that's the Cosmo Cactus. Is this my footage?
No.
No.
So we just picked the same skin coincidentally, I guess.
That's awesome. It's good taste, but that's the one, man. That's the one.
Yep. Yeah, this is again, you know, if you're watching this and you're like, this just isn't for me, I'm not trying to sell you on it and be like, no, it is. I'm just saying. So I was surprised because having not played the free to play one, I was surprised how good the gunplay felt, how cool the upgrades were, that there were boss fights. Like it was just for a game that looks this simple. I was just definitely surprised how much they packed into it. And they're saying, this is a one-person dev team, is saying it's like an 8-hour adventure or whatever. And if that's actually the case, then I don't know, man. I might see this one through and see how it goes down.
The idea of it, not looking. I mean, there was someone who said, looks like a kid's game, but then. I remember in the very first bit, I shot someone on my own team just as a joke. And the first thing they said was, "Hey, you retard, I'm on your team." And I'm like, yep. I'm like, okay. There's a lot of swearing, like, motherfucker, and like all this sort of stuff.
So it's a kid's game. Perfect.
It's a kid's game. It's a kid. Perfect for teaching language. It's great.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that kids love, to be fair.
The last thing I'd say, Brian, on this was... my play style with this was very similar to what I eventually started playing out with Plants at War. I play this game like a Doom game, so I do a lot of strafing and jumping around and shooting the enemies and just like Doom Slayer, just running around and playing aggressive. And I do clear out stuff pretty quickly that way, obviously missing stuff in the process.
Right.
And so... for me, I thought this game has excellent pacing, but I spoke to Elva in our community who'd been playing it, and I said to him, like, because he says that I was getting through it pretty quickly, and I said, well, what did you think of the pacing if you played it a lot slower and you took your time? And he was like, oh no, pacing's good for me with how I like to play it as well. So I think that's an important thing to say as well, is there's lots of different play styles with this. I kind of stick with just the assault rifle, and then I use the grenade launcher when you need it for certain missions. But I'm sure there'll come a point where I want to upgrade my other guns and try out the SMGs and the pistols, and there's a lot of different weapons on there. So yeah.
Well, I like when things turn out to be pleasant surprises instead of total letdowns, because I feel like we've had a bunch of total letdowns recently. So pleasant surprises are always nice.
And there's a lot of surprises in the game. That first boss, Brian, I wasn't expecting that. We won't say what it is, but I wasn't expecting that.
Nope. I wasn't even expecting a boss fight that early. I'm honestly not sure if I was expecting boss fights, period, but to get one in the first, 5-10 minutes?
We were talking with Peaky Blinders about like the small details are sometimes the things that you appreciate most about a game. In the boss fight, the first boss fight, I won't say what the boss is, but you do use like you have a missile launcher and you're aiming with the laser to hit the boss, and you can just absolutely pelt it, loads and loads of lasers, and then eventually you run out of ammo. Now, what would normally happen in as a game is the launcher would slowly restock over time. But in this, no, a cactus is having to go to the stockpile, pick up a missile and place it in. And if you're pressing it when there isn't any in there, they're like, hey, hang on, I haven't, these things are heavy. Like things like that, I think are amazing. Like small details that didn't even have to do that. That was so like unnecessary, but they did it. And I love the dev for it, and I'm sure there's going to be many more things in the game like that.
Planet Schlorpian with the $2 tip says Arizona Sunshine 2 looks great. Best VR gore yet. Best VR gore. Damn, I'm gonna give that one to Gorn, when you can just actually pick up dudes and rip their arms off.
God, yeah,
rip their heads off, like all stretchy and stuff. But yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah,
man, when is Gorn coming out?
No one knows. There's no way to find out. Interesting. Yeah, and Arizona Sunshine 2 will be here in December, which is going to be, hopefully, I mean...
Oh, man. Dude. We got so many great games still to come. This is, oh, man, so good.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just a month away. How fucking crazy is that? Like, we've been waiting for a sequel to Arizona Sunshine 2 for pretty much 6 years now, maybe 7. So... Hopefully it delivers, man. Hopefully it delivers. This is an important IP, and I don't think Vertigo would want to rush this. So, fingers crossed. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with the $2 tip says he can easily add TTT and zombies into this, make it a hit. I don't know if you can add multiplayer into a single player game like that. Like there's all sorts of things you can do like that. I think developers.
I have to say.
Yeah.
If the next game they worked on was a Cactus Cowboy multiplayer, like, I reckon it would do well. Like, if the mechanics were like that, I don't know. I think there's something there.
I want to know if this is selling. I want to know if people are like, looking past the aesthetic, looking past the character models and being like, fucking cactus, are you kidding me? And actually, actually giving it a shot. I want to know. And I guess this has made it to other VR platforms. This isn't PSVR2 exclusive. So I'd really like to know if the community is embracing this. Just because I'm out of pure curiosity, man. Like, just, I want to know. I don't ever know what people want. And what people want always surprises me. Like our next news story. Which is Drunken Bar Fight. God damn it, dude. What? Like, can we got to talk about Drunken Bar Fight for a minute.
I run out of beer. I need to get another beer.
Oh, no.
I'm not having another beer.
All right. Do you need to go get one?
No.
Yeah,
I've had one in my 5 a day.
Stocked up, yeah. You were ready to go. Yeah. Dude, Drunken Bar Fight was one of those weird phenomenons on PSVR 1. And here's a 720p trailer for whatever reason. I don't fucking know what's going on. We're just going to leave that there in its tiny little box, though. Dude, who puts out 720p trailer in 2016? Like, what's going on?
Outrageous.
It was, dude, one of these weird phenomenons that like fucking hit the PlayStation Store. It didn't matter that like it didn't have turn buttons. That nothing seemed to work properly. It was just one of those stream bait games that if you were streaming it, people were watching it. I remember that like this is one of Dave Station's most watched streams. It was an early one for him, and it just like for whatever reason it caught fire and people loved it. And it's because, you know, if you're a good streamer with a nice, good personality, then you can like have a lot of fun with it and make a lot of jokes and, you know, have conversations with NPCs and then beat the crap out of them. But as a game, I've never found that there to be much here. It's just like a sandbox. And so when it showed up on the PSVR2 section of the PlayStation Store the other day, I was like, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Whoa.
Now, keep in mind, it is the PlayStation 4 version, so don't go buy it. This is the same thing as Crisis Brigade 2, where it showed up on the store long before it actually had a PSVR2 listing. So don't go buying it thinking you're buying the PSVR2 version. But it is a pretty good indication. Usually, if something shows up on the PSVR2 store, usually it means it's coming to PSVR2. And it's a VR Monkey game, by the way. And VR Monkey's been handling the ports for all sorts of shit. I'm sure you saw their big splash screen at the beginning of Vampire the Masquerade Justice. So they helped fast travel with that port. They're showing up everywhere. They're the ones behind Galaxy Kart that we're loving.
Yep.
So I don't know, Myles. There were a lot of PSVR 1 games that you said earlier you were, you know, kind of playing catch up with the entire generation. Did you ever get around to playing this one?
I did, and I was incredibly disappointed because I remember before I owned VR, I used to watch those like highlight clips of people in the bar and like having conversations, and it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and I really wanted to go and experience it. And I can't remember what it was exactly. Was it that multiplayer didn't fully work? There was some issue that I was like, or maybe it was you could only play 2-player, you couldn't play 4-player. I don't know. There were things that you couldn't do on the PSVR version that you could do on the PC one. Maybe it was because they had mods or something. I don't know. I could be completely mistaken. But also, like, just the physics are meant to be janky, but there was just a lot of stuff like trying to throw people off balconies wasn't as easy as I think it was meant to be. Picking up stuff was always a bit glitchy.
Yeah.
And the whole like getting knocked out and that, like there was never a real sense of like which punch is going to knock you out, which I guess is like a real bar fight. But like, yeah, it wasn't kind of as fun. And I know they've added a lot since then. So I don't know if it comes out on PSVR 2. We'll have to wait and see. See what they bring with all the haptic feedback. You know, getting hit on the head with a cane and feeling the headset rumble.
The multiplayer has always been weird because there's local multiplayer where you can sit on the couch and see everything from a third-person perspective and use like upwards of 3 or 4 DualShock controllers simultaneously to control the NPCs and go beat up the player. And that just always felt terrible to do. And then eventually they added online multiplayer where you could just like go in and like, you know, cause chaos with other people. And that for a while that did not work properly. I'm assuming they got it all worked out. They've been adding new environments left and right. There's like a Walmart, there's a airport, there's all sorts of shit. And so this is I have somewhat morbid curiosity about this game coming to PSVR 2. I don't believe we ever got quite the capabilities that the PC VR version had. Like as you progress through the levels, the bar is supposed to fill up more and more and more and more and more. But I feel like we capped out at a certain number on PSVR 1, and it would be kind of cool to, you know, to play it properly and you know get to level 40 and there'd be 40 people in the bar. I don't know if that's a thing, but you know, obviously just plowing through these people with different weapons, whatever you can find, I guess would be fun. So, you know, as with everything, this is certainly not high on my list of, oh my god, I really need this on PSVR 2, but you know, there's certainly people out there who enjoy it. So I want every PSVR 1 game to come to PSVR 2. So if this one ends up being, if this one ends up making it over, then that's one less game that we need. Here we a couple more tips. You know you're hosting 20 questions, by the way, right? Do you have a game picked out?
In a minute.
All right. Snafu.
I'll get one now. I'll get one now.
All right. Snafu with the $2 tip says, I think we'll get a PS5 version of Dreams or sequel. No. That was a big disappointment when Media Molecule said, hey, we're going to be sunsetting Dreams. Like, we're going to give it these final updates for PSVR 1 and PS4. And that's it. No more Dreams. We're not supporting Dreams at a certain point. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. They put a ton of work into that, and I apparently I don't understand how business works, because it would seem like if you let a studio work on something for upwards of a decade, and it came out and it didn't catch fire, well, you'd want to make the most of that. You'd want to say, hey, well, port it over to, before you start on your next project, at least port it over to PS5, give it proper PSVR2 support, and at least make this decade worthwhile. So at least like we can continue, this project can kind of carry itself. You know what I mean? Over the next 5 or 6 years, like it doesn't need any more. It doesn't need any more support from the developers, because the community is going to carry it from this point on. But the fact that they didn't even bother doing that was really confusing. And obviously this was a Sony decision saying, hey, Media Molecule, it's time to move on to something else. We're pulling the plug on Dreams. So it's really sad. It's really sad, because I think Dreams was amazing. I think Dreams could have been a killer app. And I don't know. I think massive missed opportunity. One of the coolest game creation tools ever made. The ability to create VR games that looked beautiful, stunningly beautiful. So many awesome creators out there. And they're just going to let it fall by the wayside. It's too bad.
Yeah, I haven't anything to add to that. It's been a real shame.
Yeah. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with the $2 tip says, glad you here with us, Brian. Alive and well. We love you. Hugs. Was there a scare for a minute? What happened?
I have no idea.
Didn't think that I was going to make it today?
Don't know.
All right.
Maybe because of the time difference. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm glad to be here too. You guys are kind of the reason.
It's nice being here.
It's okay.
It's all right. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I've had better. Yeah, no, you guys are the reason I keep pushing forward, keep doing this shit. So thank you guys for being here, and thanks for being, the reason I do shit. Myles, am I missing anything? Did we cover everything on our? I think we covered everything on our run of show.
Yeah, I got a question for the chat though about Ghostbusters.
Cool.
Has anyone worked out how you complete all 42 missions in Ghostbusters? Has anyone? Because they've released a patch. They've released a patch and it's broken a lot of stuff. But this is how I keep track of what missions I've done and what are left. I don't think that's how you're supposed to play VR, Brian.
Myles, any game that requires pen and paper, I think can go fuck itself.
Just keep that in mind if reviewing. That's the progression system. That's how many missions I've done and I've still got left. So, but even after I've completed all of it, there's still one mission left to do that I don't understand how you're meant to do it in the game. So yeah. Anyway, that was my little Ghostbusters update, because Brian did say at the start of the show I was playing it, and that's what I'm trying to work out.
Myles, did you check out the Vince Virtuous in the chat wondering whether we've had a chance to check out the GT7 update? I didn't have it on the run of show because I haven't had a chance to get in there. I thought that AJ and I would probably check it out over the weekend and talk about it Monday.
I haven't been into, and we were talking earlier about having our steering wheel set up, so I've not sat in it for forever.
Yeah, same. Yeah, the downside, as everybody knows, I've said this 1,000 times. Downside of like running the channel is that, like, when I was done with the Gran Turismo 7 review, that meant I had to get on to the next review, and then the next review, and the next review, and the next review, and until a game comes up for review that requires me to use the wheel and the rig, I don't have an excuse to get in and use the wheel and the rig. Although it will be nice to get in there over the weekend and check out the new update, because there is a new course, and that's what I love. I was talking to Sasslord over on Discord, and he was saying that it's just like it's crazy in VR because with all the snow, he said everything's just shaking constantly. So his vision in the headset was just like it was like it was too much basically. And because somebody was saying, "Oh, does it at least look nice?" And he goes, "I can't fucking tell, man. Everything's shaking."
Amazing.
So I want to check it out for myself and see what it's all about. Yeah, and I don't get excited when Gran Turismo's like, "Hey, we got new cars for you," because I'm like, I don't have nearly all the cars anyway.
Right.
I'll be excited when I can buy my Jeep, not some like 1940s Jeep. I want my Jeep. I want like a '98 Wrangler. Man, I want like want my car.
And the updates I want to see are all to do with the multiplayer setup. I've mentioned this before. Two things. One is when you've got people joining, we're getting game cats on and they're joining, and then you go into the settings and then you change all the settings to get it right, and then you click OK. It will go, can't change because a player is currently joining the server. So what would be nice is it then goes back to what you've done and you press OK again, and it keeps saying no until someone is no longer joining. No, it just takes you back to the main page, and then you have to go back into the settings and do it all again.
Oh, man.
That is unforgivable. And then the second thing is I want them to make multi-race like tournaments, so you can do point systems. So if a load of us game cats got together and we said, you know what, we're going to do 6 go-kart races, and where you position after each one, you end up, and then there's a final podium after like 5 or 6 races. 2 simple things that I just think would be massive improvements to the GT7 multiplayer experience. But I'm not a massive GT7 player, so perhaps, but I just feel like hardcore racers would like that as well. So I don't know.
Now let's try and says 98 Wrangler. Damn, Brian, roughing it. Dude, unlike everybody else I know on the face of the planet, I've only owned 3 vehicles in my life. Like, when I get something, I stick with it until I can no longer stick with it. 3 vehicles in my entire life. I know people have gone through 3 vehicles in their first 3 years of having a license. Just saying. Anyway. All right, man. I think it's time to do some 20 questions. Hopefully everyone in the chat is ready to help me out because I always need help with this. I've just literally forgotten every VR game that's ever come out, even though I've reviewed most of them. So
bad news, Brian.
It's bad.
It's a VR game. It's gonna be a VR game.
Oh no. Man, if it was a Sega Master System game, I would have fucking had it.
It was Alex the Kid. You're right.
But that doesn't even narrow it down. Is it Shinobi World? Is it High Tech World? Is it The Lost Stars? I don't know. Oh my God, I have so many questions. Do I have 20 of them? I bet I can narrow it down. All right. I'm going to... Everybody in the chat, help me out. I need a notepad. No, I'll just bring up this over here. Gonna get yes and no. I'm gonna put yes column and a no column, and then I'm gonna be ready to go. I'm gonna bring up our timer, which should not pause randomly anymore because I fixed everything today. Also updated the Patreon scroll. Look, guys, like I was actually doing shit today. It's crazy. All right, on your mark, get Des, go. Is this game on PSVR2?
Yes.
Is it also on PSVR1?
Yes.
Okay, guys, that narrows it down. Was it a free upgrade on PSVR 2? Just tell me what it is, and I'll let you know.
I don't think it is. I don't think it was.
All right.
I don't think it was. I'm not confident, but I'm going to say I don't think it was. You can have an extra question.
Okay. I'm just going to... Okay. We'll see how this goes. Timekeeper says the timer only pauses for AJ. It can't be Arashi, Kara, because it's not out yet on PSVR 2. It has to be a game that's out. And he says it's on both. Okay. Has this developer made more than one PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.
That narrows down even further. Okay, was this made by Polyarch?
No.
Okay, that takes care of that, Dan. And anybody else who was saying that maybe it was Moss. Moss Book 1 and 2 are ruled out. Are there zombies in this game? Or wait. Are there zombies or zombie-like creatures in this game?
No.
Okay, so that rules out a whole lot too.
Oh, that's 5.
Okay.
Thank you, Blazing Phoenix 82 with the 5 memberships. And congrats to the 5 of you that got one.
Super generous. Thank you.
Amazing.
Was it a rhythm game?
No.
All right, there goes Thumper, Bogey Cat. And I wonder if we'd call Tetris Effect a rhythm game. I think we would. I think music-based was the better question, Looper. Exactly. Was it a puzzle game? Let's just knock out Tetris while we're at it.
Sorry, you're asking if it was a puzzle game?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So not rhythm, not puzzles. No zombies or zombie-like creatures. So that's there goes After the Fall. Was this made by Arvory? Immersive Entertainment? No. Okay, so no Pixel Ripped games. Let's see. Oh yeah, good question. Is it a sports game?
No.
Okay, so that eliminates
9.
Creed.
9.
Huh. Would this be a simulator type game? Like, would it fall into the same vein as like a job sim or vacation sim or Star Tenders, like all that kind of like, you know?
No. Nah.
Okay.
You might hold with that against me later, but we'll see. But no, I wouldn't say so.
The Last Labyrinth is definitely a puzzle game, Fat Freddy. So we can't do that.
We're at 10. We're halfway there.
Is there a lot of is the primary thing you're doing in this game shooting?
No.
Okay, there goes Crisis Brigade. It can't be Fisherman's Tale Chaos because it's not a puzzle game. Oh man. Grumpy Williams asking about Desperate Vladivostok. Did that actually come out? But that's this gun game anyway. Can't be Res Infinite. Okay, let's go for developer. Was this Vertical Robot?
No.
Okay, there goes Red Matter, you guys. Was this made by Sin Studio?
No.
Guys, we were running
13.
out of fucking games here. Is it a survival game?
Nah. 14.
Okay. There goes Song in the Smoke. There goes. That was it. Oh, good question, Looper. Did it come out at launch? The PSVR2 launch?
No.
Shit.
15.
Okay, guys, what games were on PSVR1 and PSVR2? It can't be Saints and Sinners because it didn't have no zombies or zombie-like creatures. What? It can't be Paper Beast because that's fucking a puzzle game from top to bottom. Oh my god, was this? Is this a sword fighting game?
Nah.
Okay, no until you fall. This is crazy. Would you call this an open world game?
No.
Would the developers call this an open?
I'm using that as the same question. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't call it an open world game.
Oh my god. Okay.
We're still at 17.
Nope, dude. I listen. The time is up. I'm gonna make my guess. Is this Budget Cuts Ultimate?
It's not Budget Cuts Ultimate.
What game is it?
It's VR Pigeons, Brian.
I hate you so much. I hate you so fucking much right now.
And for anyone that's not played it and curious about it, I will be Let's Playing it tomorrow. Pigeon Picnic, Are You Ready to Rumble is the name of the live stream. So look forward to seeing you there. Unlucky, Brian. But yeah, it did come out on both PSVR and PSVR2. It was by VR Kiwi. Not a puzzle game.
It was a free upgrade.
But it is kind of a simulator, so I might actually give you it.
Nope.
Because you do use the neck.
Nope.
So to be fair, I think I have to give it to you, Brian. I think you did get it. That was wrong with me. Did it have a free upgrade?
It did.
Okay, there you go. So there, I think I'll let that pass. I think if you'd known the free upgrade and the simulator thing, I think you would have got it.
Yeah. Nope.
No one in the chat got it either, to be fair. So
yeah, I mean, in all fairness, if the chat doesn't get it, there's no way I'm getting it. Like,
yeah.
Like the chat is my brain for these things. I'm basically just asking questions that the chat is.
Same for me. Same for me, man.
And based on their suggestions. Yep. Oh my God! Looper the Underground Game Cat, the keeper of 20 questions scorebook, says it's the third time it's pecked and first time failed. Both previous times were AJ to Brian. So
wow. Okay.
So this is the third time you guys have used VR pigeons against me.
I was really worried then he was going to say it's the third time and all 3 times has been Myles. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't think I'd ever used it before.
I would,
but yeah.
I would, if I had a time machine, that's what I would use it for. I would use it to go back in time and make sure that this was, yeah, you chose it 3 times prior.
Make sure the game was never made.
I really don't.
I know
like
when
it.
you and I covered it on GamesCast when it was first announced for PSVR. Just like, yeah, we were doing this
because we had nothing to talk about for 2 years. So this was a cover story.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the thing. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. We really, really appreciate you. Oh, hold on a second. There's a couple more tips we want to take care of here.
Oh, wow.
Planet Schlorpian with a $2 tip says Dreams was the perfect game for stoners. But what's not the perfect game for stoners? I think that's the better question.
VR pigeons.
I don't know. That might be for stoners only. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game with a $5 tip says drove to Best Buy to grab a wheel. After much research, I decided to go for the G Pro, but I'd rather pay my mortgage. Well, I'll wait for Black Friday. Hope for a deal.
Yeah, Black Friday, man. Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's creeping up on us big time. We got Blazing Phoenix 82. Thank you again for all the gifted memberships. Very generous. This community is absolutely fucking incredible. Hopefully you're all having a great Friday night and you're going to have a great weekend. So before we get out of here, we want to give a quick shout out to everybody who helps this channel run. That's all the moderators do a great job over here keeping the conversation civil, and over on Discord, which is like a full-time job. I don't know why they do this because it's thankless. They put up with a lot of shit and they don't get paid for it. I don't understand why anybody would want to do that. So much love to all the moderators out there. Also, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry that gets timestamps into the show after the fact. Rypop, who puts this up on podcast services of your choice. All the people out there who help the channel financially by donating to the GoFundMe that's up currently, by being a member here, by supporting us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Everyone who tips during the show, like that's, I think, my primary source of income, to be honest with you. I don't think anyone realizes that. So we really, really appreciate it. Also, we love everyone who hangs out and shoots the shit during the shows, helps out during 20 questions, keeps us entertained while we try to keep you entertained. And everyone who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We love you just as much. Happy Friday, Myles.
Happy Friday, Brian. Happy Friday again, cats. Have a wonderful weekend. Maybe see you at multiplayer on Sunday.
Let's go. Oh man, fucking Tin Hearts. Here it is, right in our face. I mean, like, basically just saying, slapping us in the face as soon as the show is over and saying, you fucking liars, you didn't talk about Tin Hearts. This is clickbait. This is
we did a preview.
Definition of clickbait.
Well, then we previewed it. It's coming.
All right. Myles, it's funny because the other day you and I were talking in voice chat and we were talking about our experiences with Vampire the Masquerade Justice. And I was explaining this bug to you. I was explaining this bug to you, and you were like, please tell me that you have footage of that. And I do. And so this is what happens when the inventory does not show up and give you the item that you need. You just have to have faith, as George Michael said.
Faith.
That's right. Let's check this shit out. All right, so clearly that's the apartment key. That's me putting the apartment key in my inventory. I clearly have it. This is the apartment key door. And see, watch it. There's it. It popped up just for a second and then disappeared. And so I reach out and I take the invisible key and I unlock the door with it. You can even see me shaking my head in that footage, just going, I don't fucking know. I couldn't believe it worked, man. I couldn't believe it worked when I showed up at the door and the inventory UI disappeared. I was like, I wonder if it's still there. Just reached out and grabbed the invisible key and unlocked the door with it. Dude, absolutely shocked that worked.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's a shame it wasn't a master key that you could just do the gesture of using a key on any door. It just unlocks it. It's like it's a cheat code.
Right? It doesn't matter if you have it or not. It's always invisible right next to the door.
Oh man, there are so many games I just want to jump back into. Vampire is definitely another one of them. So
yeah. What's funny is that when AJ and I were talking about it on the day before the review came out, 2 days before the review came out, I was saying this isn't the kind of game that like I want to, like I don't have a strong desire to go back and replay the levels and do them better. And now I do. I really do. Like this is the kind of a game I start thinking about when I'm not playing it. What sucks though is that after they issued the patches, they never. They ended up creating a bunch more problems. Like it seems like they rectified a bunch of my problems, but then they created a bunch more problems for people who were just jumping into the game. And so I've seen comments from lots of people saying, "This is unplayable currently. Like I'm stuck in the environment, or there's a bunch of flashing lights or whatever." And so hopefully Fast Travel's listening and can kind of take care of those, so people can start enjoying the game again. I was really surprised to hear that. So. That's it, man. That's it. Ready to get out of here?
Let's do it. Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Good night, everyone. We love you.